What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. In today's Entitled Parents video, I've got for you 3 fantastic stories, starting off with one that is rather creepy, to be completely honest. An entitled stepdad sets up hidden cameras in his own home to try and catch his stepdaughter in uncompromising situations. It's very, very weird. Let's get into it. That time my stepdad hid a camera to spy on me. My story is about 2 or 3 years old at this point, but I just thought I'd bring it up because I saw someone else had a story that was kind of similar. My stepdad would constantly be buying Amazon products, and in one of his Alexas, he got a small camera for free with the bundle, which he promptly set up in our living room, but told my mum not to tell me. Weird, right? Well, my mum thought so too, so she told me straight away. But as he explained to her, he wanted to catch me with boys in the house when they weren't there. First off, he never left the house. He was 28 stone and didn't bother to ever leave, so I don't know how he'd think I'd have boys round, but there you go. Secondly, he said that it was for house safety. However, it wasn't aimed at any doors or windows, nor was it in an area of the house that people could break into. It was solely above the sofa I would sit on. We later found out through lots of text messages that he was actually attracted to me, which was disgusting, but we realized the reason he actually put the cameras up wasn't to catch me with boys, it was to catch me naked or topless if they ever went away, and to spy on my phone messages. He had full control over the camera, so my mum couldn't see what he was recording. But he admitted in a lot of messages that this is what the camera was for, because for some reason, that's what he wanted to do. Now, I noticed the camera straight away, so I was never in a compromised position with it. But seeing someone else's story about their mum forcing them to have a camera gave me flashbacks to what he did. Luckily, my story has a happy ending. He died last April from COVID, and we haven't had a camera up since. So it's been great to have the privacy I'm entitled to as an almost 21-year-old adult. And there we go. For all the horrible, horrible things that COVID has brought about on this world, maybe that's a shining light. Maybe that's one good thing that COVID's done, killing off a horrible person like your stepdad. I mean, honestly, what is he doing? Seriously, how weird of a bloke must he be to set up secret cameras on his own stepdaughter? He's clearly a very messed up person in the head, and honestly, it's a good thing he's gone. Now, before we move on to our next story of today's episode, I firstly want to say a massive thank you to Ridge for sponsoring this video. Guys, last week I told you all about the Ridge wallet, how I've been using it for over a year now, how I think it would make an amazing Father's Day gift, and many more amazing things. However, this is not the only thing that the Ridge make. Boom. Check that out. Yeah, look at that. Incredible scenes. Now, this little beauty that you can see right here is a lovely all-weather bag. It's waterproof. It's perfect for, your weekend trips. Loads of storage space on the inside, as you can see. I mean, look at that. What can't you fit in there? That's my question. Now, Rich were kind enough to send this out to me, and I've been using it over the past week or so, as you can see on screen. That was me using it at five-a-side football. Great stuff. It was very wet that day as well, but all my stuff in here remained dry. Guys, even if you aren't after a wallet just like this one, there's loads of other stuff available on the website, such as rucksacks, iPhone cases, the bag I just showed you, lots to choose from. Now, with Father's Day coming up very shortly, I think a lot of the stuff on there would be a great gift for your dad. So if you like the look of anything I've just showed you, please go down to the link in the description or the pinned comment, and also at checkout, use the code Redditor for a discount off your order. Now, moving on to our next story. Kid tries to play with my luggage and gets hurt. Entitled Mum Gets Mad. I am a 27-year-old woman and a flight attendant for a major US airline. A few years ago, while at a very busy US airport, I was in line to get some food. Now, my luggage is almost an extension of my hand when I'm working. I carry a shoulder bag and then have a large roll aboard and a small sized tote that hooks to the larger bag, so it extends a bit behind me. As I'm waiting, I feel my bag move. Afraid I'm in someone's way, I pull it closer and turn around to see a toddler. I'll call him Tom for the remainder of this story, laying on the 2 bags. 3 times, I say to his parents, they need to move Tom, he could get hurt. Now, they do take him off briefly, but within a second or 2, he's back. When I try to pull the bag away, Tom thinks it's a game. The parents, for some reason, just ignore me giving them looks. The 3rd time, I specifically said, this is a busy airport, and if I move quickly for some reason, he's going to get hurt. Cue snarky reply from Mum, I know how to watch my kids. Once I reach the register, I place my order. As I finish, airline scheduling calls me re a trip change. I need to quickly get to a place where I can take notes. Without even thinking about it, I rolled my bag back quickly, which meant that Tom, who was apparently playing with my luggage tags, another lady informed me after that, got bowled backwards and hit his head on the hard tile floor. Cue a flip out from the kid and his parents, yelling I was guilty of child abuse, demanding to see my work ID so they could report me to my company, etc, etc, which I'm neither obligated nor willing to do. Airport police arrive just as my food is ready. One of them happens to be someone I see in the airport regularly. We have a 30-second conversation in which I explain and identify the lady who already offered to be a witness on my behalf. I need to get to my gate for the new flight, so the cop says, I know where to find you if I need you, but don't stress. Get out of here and work your flights. As I thank him and start to walk away, the kid's grandfather attempts to run past the cop to stop me from leaving. And when the cop puts his hand on his shoulder, he shoves the cop with all his strength and lunges. I found out about all this afterwards because when it was actually happening, it was all behind me. I felt just a brief tug on the strap of my shoulder bag and turn around to see the other airport cop slamming Grandpa to the ground. The Grandpa ended up pleading out, so I never had to testify in court. But this all could have been avoided if they'd watched their dang kids. OP, I completely agree. The airport is probably the last place that you want to let your kid run free. So much bad stuff could happen. You know, everyone, as OP said, is hurrying about everywhere, running, trying to catch flights. People are crossing paths. It's so busy. The kid could just end up anywhere, getting hurt, getting lost, getting taken. You'd have to be an idiot of a parent. I'm sorry to say this, but like the people in this story, you would have to be an absolute idiot not to, you know, take care of your kid, keep them very close, and make sure they weren't doing stuff like this. And don't get me wrong, it's not the kid's fault at all because, you know, he's just a kid having fun. I remember when I was a young kid, me and my sister used to, you know, jump on the luggage carts, push each other around, have fun. Obviously, we'd get told off by our parents, but hey, forget about that. But it's not Tom's fault, you know, he's just having a good time, you know, just chilling out, probably bored out of his mind, waiting for planes. But his whole family are there, and none of them are watching over him. None of them are saying, hey, Tom, mate, might not be a good idea to jump on this flight attendant's bags and just do what you want because you might get hurt. Brain dead. Honestly, I'm sorry to say it, but that's all I can say. And now moving on to the final story of today's episode. And to be honest, guys, I think I've left the best till last. It's a cane, not an axe. So, a little background on me. I am a disabled veteran and I work as a school administrator. I was injured in Iraq and went into teaching after I got out of the service. Besides having breathing issues and PTSD, I have some pretty messed up knees. I've had 2 surgeries on each knee, but I still feel pain with each step. I need to use a cane sometimes to help me walk when the pain is too bad, or they lock up or are extra weak that day. So, I have an assortment of canes I've received and purchased over the years. I prefer the ones made by Cold Steel, and I received the Axehead cane a few years ago as a gift from a student and their parents. Now I love this thing. It's as tough as they come and it looks cool. Kind of like an axe, but only if you really look at it when it's not being held. So, last year, before COVID became as famous as it is now, I was shopping at a local Walmart and decided to stop in McDonald's for a snack. I like their oatmeal raisin cookies. I sat at one of the tables with 3 cookies and a Diet Coke. A few tables away from me was a mother, the entitled mum, and 2 teens. Both of the teens were boys, and I'd say that one was 15, while the other was about 13, give or take. While sitting there, I took out the novel I always keep in my backpack. At that time, I was reading the Going Home Survivalist series, and enjoyed my snack. Within a few minutes of me reading, the younger entitled boy grabbed my cane that was resting against my table, and says something along the lines of, "Look at this cool stick, it looks like an axe." His brother grabbed it from him and looked it over. Now, I have PTSD from my time in Iraq and a short temper, and I'll admit that my first reaction was to grab my EDC weapon. At that time, it was an S&W 638. Alright, just looking that up, that's a pretty nice revolver. Honestly, living in America, that you can just have a gun like that is mental to me, but okay, so this guy pulls out a revolver. I immediately removed my hand from the holster though, and just got up, took 2 steps over to them, and yanked it from his hands, and said, "That's mine." I then sat back down and went back to eating, all the while keeping an eye on those kids. No more than 30 seconds passes, and the entitled mum comes over, asking why I took the stick out of her kids' hands. She states that they were only looking at it. I just looked at her and said, It's my cane and I can do whatever I dang well please with it. She then goes over to the McDonald's counter and complains to the cashier that I'm being rude to her and her kids and I'm swearing at them. I decided to just walk away and get what I needed and check out. I went to where I'd left my basket and went to the camping aisle to get the last of my items and then was planning to go and check out. That's when Walmart's loss prevention specialists came to visit me. They told me they'd had a complaint that I was walking around with an axe and threatening people. I told them that I do not have an axe, just my cane. No more had I said those words that 2 police officers came up to me. I can remember thinking, only at Walmart. When the officers arrived, they asked me what I was doing. I told them I was just shopping and that I just told these 2 staff members that I don't have an axe. I did inform the officers that I had a concealed firearm, but I did have a CCW permit. I told them I was keeping my hands in plain view and would only show them my permit if they asked me to. That's when I noticed the entitled mum and her 2 spawn behind them. The mum was telling them that I'd threatened her family with that axe in my hands and had cussed at them to boot. I slowly lifted my cane up and handed it to them to see. They saw that it was just a cane. They asked for my CCW permit and I showed it to them. Once they checked it out and saw that my cane was a cane, they asked me what really happened. When I tried to tell them about the 2 entitled brats taking it and me yanking it back, the entitled mum started calling me a liar. They had to make her step back and be quiet so they could talk to me. I told them they could check the cameras if they wanted to, but all I did was grab my property back and told the entitled mum that it was my dang cane. After several minutes, I had to sit because my knees were killing me. I asked if I could briefly use one of the folding chairs behind me, and surprisingly, the staff member said yes. Finally, the officer said that everything with me was fine, and I could continue shopping. One even said he liked my cane. I told him it was a gift from a student and explained why I needed it. It turns out he served in Iraq too, but a few years after I did. They told me they would deal with the entitled mum and her kids, and if they bothered me again, to just call the police. I thanked them and made my way to the checkout. I decided I wasn't going to go through all that and then not buy the items in my cart. After checking out, I saw the entitled mum hanging out in the parking lot complaining on the phone. She started yelling at me as I loaded my items into the bed of my pickup truck. Rather than just ignoring her and driving away, I opened my mouth and said loudly so everyone nearby could hear, "You know, I have no idea how anyone as loud-mouthed, fat, ugly, and dumb as you could ever find a man, let alone get him hard enough to knock you up." I then hopped quickly into my truck and drove away before I could hear any comeback she might have had. Look, I admit I could have handled it better, but I just don't like people touching my stuff, and I don't like people lying about me. I still use that cane, by the way. It's just too dang good not to use. Oh, what a legend this guy is. I mean, saying that line and then driving off in his pickup truck, there's no way this woman would have had any sort of comeback. That was just too good. I've never really understood in any of these stories why entitled parents or just kids in general think that they're allowed to just go and take someone else's property. Even if they say, "I was just looking at it, I wasn't trying to steal it or anything." It's not yours, my friend. You can't just go and do that. I thought that would be pretty obvious, but apparently not, so I don't really know what they were trying to do. I'll tell you what though, OP, I want to see some pictures of your cane collection, because you said you had an assortment. I also want to see what an axe cane looks like, because it sounds pretty badass. Can you put them on Reddit? Because I want to see them all and see how many canes you've got and which one's the coolest. That would make for a pretty cool tier list video, actually. Ranking this guy's canes. Okay, it wouldn't, but it'd be still pretty cool to see them. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Hope you enjoyed these 3 stories. If you did and you want more similar stories, check out a couple of videos on screen. They're both fantastic. Trust me, I made them. If you are new to the channel and you would like to see more from me every single day, please do hit the subscribe button and, you'll get the videos on your home feed in your subscription tab every day when I post them. And yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow with a brand new one. Take care, guys, and have a great rest of your day.